You're listening to Tukatalks, the show where fashion industry experts share real-world knowledge gained through hands-on experience.
So I'm very, very proud to present one of the legends in the industry, Ilse Metchek. She's been in the industry for decades. We've been friends for decades. And I tell you something, guys, you are all in for a great treat. Thank you, Ilse Metchek.
It's a delight. Ram, it's a pleasure to start this program because it really has not been done. There is a lot of information. It's a lot of tutorial at the school level and online. But so much information is being lost because history does repeat itself. And if you don't know the history, you think you're doing everything for the first time. And unfortunately, the years have shown me that I've seen it all. Not all, but there's something new every day. We love it. We love to see it. But then it reminds us of something we did before. And that's the fun of this industry.
Wonderful. So tell me, what do you feel is the hottest topic today in the fashion industry? Things that people should know. I know you speak about how to build a brand, how to protect the IP. There are so many difficult arenas for a startup company or company who wants to export to the United States, or people who want to build a brand or start a new internet-based business. I intend to really milk the time and your knowledge by offering many of these episodes. So pick one subject that you feel that is the hottest topic.
Well, Ram, you started this by saying what not to do.
Correct.
So let me rephrase that and say what has changed that does not replicate what we've done in the past. Legacy brand building is fundamentally over. You build a brand today to get it to a point where it's a viable commodity for someone else to buy it. Because by the time your brand becomes known countrywide or worldwide, it has a price tag that can then become cosmetics, it can become accessories if you are a garment, it can become footwear, and then you're virtually out of your core product. So my suggestion is you move on and start over. Take your money and run. So the legacy brands of yore, which are having their difficulty now, the Burberrys and the Ralph Laurens and the VF and all of those, build your brand with an end in sight. What do you want to make? How big do you want to be? And find your market and sell it. That's the first thing that has changed drastically and dramatically. And the second thing that has changed is there's no such thing as the millennial. A millennial today could be a devotee of Taylor Swift or Cardi B. And the two young ladies that I mentioned who are the same age and the same business would no more wear the same garment or footwear or jewelry than I would with my grandchild. It's two different worlds. Within each demographic, we are so fractionalized, it's like the political arena. There is no such thing as what's hot today. Because what is hot in Los Angeles is not hot in New York. What is hot in Chicago is not hot in Seattle. And we have to, as merchants, understand the big question. Who's your customer? And bigger is not better. So you have companies like VF or Nautica or whoever you, making 10,000 red hoodies. with an insignia, and they have to ask themselves, who's going to buy it? Now, if Kanye West makes a red hoodie and makes 2,000 of them, he can get any price. So bigger is not better, and you create your own value by how much you make. And the more you make, the less you can charge. And I find that those two drivers of our industry have set the tone for you, Ram, and your clients to rethink the whole process of merchandising. So what used to take 2 years, the trend, from the cool kid around the block to wear it, the fashionable person wants to wear it, until it's out the door to Walmart, or we call it cargo pants. That used to be 2 years. It's now less than a year, and something is hot for 10 weeks. Literally, I'm not kidding you, 10 weeks. So you better have your next item. The one hot wonders, the people who say, oh, my merchandise, it's so hot, and they knocked me off. Absolutely. You better have another one right behind it.
It actually, if you look at how in the last 2 to 3 years the things have transformed, I give a different example. Being in American companies, most of us are swayed by the Wall Street results. Retailers are measured year-to-year comparison. For the last so many years, if you look at, so many of these retailers haven't made money quarter after quarter after quarter. Think about it for a minute. And if that doesn't show where the trends are going, I don't know what else can. So I'm going to take an example. We all know that at the retail, the prices have been going down, right? So let's say 5 years ago, I was selling $1 a garment and I was selling 100 garments. My total sale was $100. Wall Street wants to know, following year, what did I do against that $100? I wanted to be more competitive, and I dropped my price to 90 cents by really squeezing the supply chain. But now to get my $100, I have to do 111 garments, because at 90 cents to bring my $100. And this continued by year after year, from $1 to 90 cents to 80 cents to 70 cents. But just to get my $100 retail, I had to now come up to 170 garments to sell to make my $100. Where am I going to find those buyers? Where are these garments going to go? Eventually somebody has to give. So you've seen all these retailers who are going under. It's very, very hard time for anybody in the retail or design to understand where the industry is going. Where do you think the industry is going?
Back to the specialty stores. The statistics are very clear. There's a pie chart that shows you that 34% of apparel, and that is my specialty, apparel, footwear, accessories, are purchased at a specialty store. And I'm not talking about specialty chains like SAD, Forever 21, or Victoria's Secret, who are having their problems. I'm talking about 7 stores within a state. By the way, that's the definition of a specialty store. Within a state, seven stores maximum. So it's the store in the strip mall, or the independent store in a mall or on the street. These are the retailers who are testing and trying new things, because as you clearly state, the major stores rely on those retailers to make the mistakes, and they only buy what they think is hot based on last year or based on what the industry is saying is hot. The problem with that kind of merchandising theory is that in the United States, And we are the drivers of apparel merchandising in the United States. There are only 12 pencils, what we call pencils. Anywhere from Walmart to Bloomingdale's to Neiman's to Saks to Dillard's to name 12 retailers that can buy, as you say, that 100 pieces of one style. To build your business around those 12 retailers, where every financial institution will tell you that your return is only 70 cents on the dollar after they take their discounts and chargebacks and operational discounts and whatever. If that is your business model, yes, you will have a difficult time. But at the same time, if your business model is for the specialty stores, you better be ready with something new all the time. And the one thing we're not talking about right now is online. As the driver of this merchandising frenzy. Now, right now, at this point in time, whatever date it is, online purchasing is still only less than 20% of apparel purchasing. It's more than 80%, we're all shopping online. But pushing that button, only 20% of the time. So it's still in the stores. But online has driven the stores to do two things that are really very exciting to be a manufacturer. And we see this at trade shows. We see buyers walking up to a line, a resource, and saying, do you sell to Macy's? Do you sell to Amazon? And if the answer is yes, they walk away.
Of course.
Because they don't want to compete with the sales and the Prime and whatever it is. Now that is an open door for new brands and new ideas. Because here is 34% of the market who is looking for new ideas. And whether it's made in India or made in Burma or made in Europe or made in Los Angeles, the essence of it is that's not the first question. It's not the first question. After they like it, the question might be, certainly delivery and where is it made, and coming up, where's your factory and what is your environmental disposition. But whether it's made locally or made in New York or made in Atlanta or made in Timbuktu is not the issue. The issue is the immediacy of the look for the specialty stores. It's a totally different sell. It's a totally different sell.
But I guess it has a lot to do with the customer, the consumer, who is looking at what I call a shopping experience. There was a time when we could say, well, this customer belongs to that kind of store because of socio-economic or whatever conditions. But today it's so hard to predict the consumer. The same consumer may be driving a big SUV and going to Costco to buy all the cleaning supplies or whatever wholesale stuff, and then drive down to Nordstrom and buy a $200 blouse, and coming back and stop at a 99-cent store for the thrill of it. It's the same consumer doing the same weekend. We couldn't predict that 30 years ago, that they would behave like that.
Absolutely.
And this thrill has created new opportunities for, as you say, specialty stores, or even the discounters who bring small quantities. I'm not going to mention the names of the stores, but these stores have done extremely well year after year, become multi-billion-dollar businesses, because their business is to create a shopping experience, a thrill. That thrill is not going to be on internet. That thrill is not going to be at Walmart or Target or Kohl's. Those stores, I think, are going to be for what I call the basic goods, but not for fashion. How many people are going to continue to buy on these stores on a regular basis for cheap garments? I don't think it's that long.
Well, we call it the democracy of fashion now. This is a time that's very different when you say cheap. It used to be trickle down. You saw it on the runways of Paris and New York, and then 6 months, maybe 3 months later, it trickled down into the mainstream. The democracy of fashion, it's so fast now because we see it on the internet. We have one thing that we showed. There's a certain shoe, certain piece of footwear now, at this moment in time, that is the shoe. It's a pointy toe slipper, embroidered slipper. It looks like a Raja sat on a throne, okay? And you can go online right now and see it for $12 on Amazon, and you can see it for $1,200 at Gucci. At the very same time, the very same, if you're looking for an embroidered slipper right now, you can buy it at any price. Now that lady who lives in Palos Verdes Peninsula is not going to buy the $12 one. Now, she may or may not buy the Gucci one, but somewhere in the middle is a sweet spot for something that is fashionable, that is going to be gone in 10 weeks. In other words, if she wants that to add to her wardrobe, she may or may not know that I know it's over, okay, before she even buys it. The same person who needs to buy that footwear that fits from a Ferragamo or a Manolo Blahnik because it fits, and she'll pay $1,200 for that shoe and have it for a long, long time. Two different customers. One is the person who is buying cheap but can afford better is going to throw it away.
I want to bring, because we are in California, I want to bring California fashion industry, why we call California the design center of the world. Mm-hmm. What are the lessons to learn from California fashion industry, where the development cycle is less than 2 weeks. Somebody has to come up with 300 to 500 new styles to take it to the market. What do you feel is a lesson for the fashion industry to learn when you look at their challenges in the fashion industry in California? Even after taking 500 new styles, their average order is going to be 360 to 480 garments, and they have to deliver that in 45 to 60 days, come back and start that whole thing all over again for the next fashion market. Do you think the industry is gearing towards that?
I think the whole world is gearing to what the industry in California is doing. And that is less styles, not as many SKUs, more often, trying to platform the fabrication. Now, what does that mean for all of us? It means there's less creativity in textiles. Because if you platform textiles in your 5 basic colors, you can use those 5 basic colors all year and overprint them. We have so many new technologies. Heat transfer printing, you can pleat it, you can embroider it, you can trim it, but you have platformed the basics that you can use for 12 months a year because we don't have snow. And the one thing that the California market does that everybody, and I say everybody, most worldwide retailers shop what's going on here at retail. Every 10 blocks, there's a different look. The beach does not look like Pasadena.
Of course not.
Beverly Hills does not look like North Hollywood. Every 10 blocks, Koreatown certainly does not look like Orange County. And every 10 blocks, if you look at the retail merchandise within the best store in those 10 blocks, you will have a different perspective of who lives here. You know, you can go into New York and you can go Madison Avenue, you can go to downtown where on the 17th Street, you can even go to the new Hudson Yards. And you'll find the same black garment everywhere. And you'll buy, in the winter, the puffer jacket with long black Hermes kind of boots. Everywhere. You won't see that in California. You will see white pants in the middle of December, and you will see white tennis shoes, which is the look right now, white sneakers, on everybody at all times, even with a tuxedo. We are, as the world calls us, weird.
Yeah, you're right, because California, there are so many ethnicities.
That was my next point.
There are so many, I would say, the economic lifestyles that under one 20-mile globe or roof, you could find 25 different shopping centers. And these are the stores. These are not department stores. Okay?
Yeah, these are doors.
I also noticed something very interesting. Even in places like McDonald's or Burger King, different Burger Kings and
Different
McDonald's have different menus to suit the people who live in that area. If the fast food people can do this kind of change to cater to the local people, what are the department stores doing?
Well, that the graph will show you that the department store decline in the purchase of apparel and accessories and footwear is precipitous. When I say precipitous, it's not going to come back until they get rid of the upstairs floors, which, for example, Macy's in Chicago has leased out the top 3 floors of Macy's to Google or some tech company. It is the end of a multi-store emporium. Nobody needs to go upstairs anymore. Maybe the second floor, if you're doing a better or luxury area, you really have to bring it into a separate sphere and a separate look. And that's to your point of experience. Wherever the shopper is shopping, they want to feel that that's the experience they're shopping in. It used to be, we had, and again, I won't mention retailers, that you could sell a $3,000 handbag or a plaid shirt that was overpriced at $700 or $800 in a facility that is kind of grungy, just because it has a name brand store. The customer wants to feel today that they're experiencing the buy. If they are buying a discount, they're just as happy to buy it in Nordstrom Rack and Ross stores. They really don't want to buy a discount at Saks and Neiman's.
Correct.
They will buy the discount, but don't try and make a luxury department a bargain. They're there for a reason.
What advice would you give to somebody who's thinking of starting a new business in the fashion?
Get a job first, so that you understand that given 10 companies in the fashion business, there are 10 different ways to run the business. There is no one way. But to start out, and we have 19 schools in the California Fashion Association that we talk to and give information to and work with their alumni, and thinking that you can come out of school and create a company, or making a wonderful website. You have a great idea, you're a tech genius, and you think you have invented the latest and greatest new piece of wearing apparel. Get a job first, because there is, I'm not going to say there's nothing new in apparel. There's plenty new because the consumer is new. But as long as we all have necks and two arms, and sometimes we have a bosom, and we're tall and we're short, you have to understand sizing, because design is not enough. Designing is no longer enough. You have to understand sizing. You have to understand textiles and interlining. Are you going to sew a knit t-shirt with a rigid thread? Do you know that you need a knitted thread? Do you know all these things? Because we have seen so many disasters based on a great idea. A great idea. It's execution. And execution needs experience.
That's exactly why we decided to have a person like you to give that little bit of warning, so to speak. I always tell the young people, when the older person says don't do it, they're not trying to discourage you that don't do it at all. They're kind of telling you the way you're suggesting, don't do it that way. And please listen to the older people, because my advice to all the young people, you can't live long enough to make all your mistakes yourself. Talk to people like us who have made multiple times many mistakes, and we'd rather share those mistakes with you guys.
And one other thing, no one does it alone.
Correct.
No one does
I'd
it
like
alone.
you to expand that. This is a very good lesson. Nothing gets started by one person, okay?
Yeah.
Can you give some examples?
Well, Ralph Lauren had Barry, whatever his last name was, Valentino, had his partner. Everyone has the right brain and left brain working. Everyone. And everyone has somebody sitting there with a, do you think you really should do that? Sitting on their shoulder.
Jean and Barry from Lucky Jeans.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's so many of them,
Yeah.
I know.
And I don't know anyone who is successful who can't give applause to the people or the one person around them who may not be with them at the very top, but who was around them at the beginning with the, have you thought about this kind of suggestion? And we know the ego involved in many businesses are started by a designer, okay? Businesses are started by a super salesperson. Businesses are started by a production manager. But all of those things, and businesses are started by a financial genius. But what about the other sides? The financial guy needs the designer and the pattern maker. The designer needs the financial person very much. The seller needs the designer and the back room. So everyone needs somebody, and we call it the bench. And right now, in this time period, and we are going into 2020 right now, the bench is very weak, because the new talented people are not staying put long enough to learn enough to be an expert.
Wonderful.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Tukatalks. Visit tukatech.com/Tukatalks to join the conversation. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.